Hello, and welcome back to Body Beyond the Scales, the podcast that helps you get stronger and more confident in your body through building better habits. Today, I'm going to be talking all about resilience and how to become more resilient. You might be thinking, Holly, is this not a health and fitness podcast? What on earth are you talking about resilience for? I think resilience is one of the key factors when it comes to consistency. And if you want to be consistent long term, you need to think about basically being more resilient. And I'm going to boil it down basically into what resilience is, what it means, and kind of the 5 key areas that come up when it comes to resilience. So to get us started, what is resilience? Well, really all it is your ability to bounce back, or your bounce back ability. And I guess the opposite of resilience is that all or nothing mindset where we are either all on track or we are like not on track at all. And it's this idea that we're bouncing from extreme to extreme because we can't basically grow, or we can't face stress, and we can't face changes. So resilience is your ability to handle stress and adversity and basically be able to bounce back, like especially either bounce back faster or like not fall off track when you do find that you're going through a hard phase. So I want you to see resilience as something that's a skill. It is something that can be learned, and it's something that you can improve on. And I want you to see this as part of your psychological fitness, and not just your like your journey to like losing weight and keeping it off will involve both like physical actions that you have to take, but also mental actions as well. And I want you to see that this is something like that's a physical fitness skill that you'll be improving on over time. So what I think why this really matters is that like this is what keeps you consistent. This is what gets you consistent long term, and actually means that you can stay on track for as long as possible. So yeah, let's talk about like kind of like how we become more resilient, because resilient people just don't avoid failure. Like that's not what's happening here. They just kind of recover faster from it, and they're able to kind of handle any like waves in the ocean. If you've heard me talking about like stormy seas versus like steady seas before, you'll know what I mean here when I'm saying like waves in the ocean. But basically we have this idea that when you are all or nothing, you are constantly in stormy seas. So things are constantly up, down, you're on track, you're off track, you're on track, you're off track. Whereas when we've got steady seas, I'm not saying we're going perfect and it's always a straight line, but there will be ups and downs, ebbs and flows, but it's steady. There's always going to be waves there, but we're able to handle the waves, and they never turn into a storm. And that's what we're really focusing on here, is just keeping it as steady as possible. And again, that doesn't mean that things will always be perfect. It just means that you'll be able to handle them so that those little shifts that you make will be able to basically keep you on track long term. So let's talk about resilience. And I think resilience comes down into 5 key pillars. Pillar number 1, emotional regulation. So actually I say I think, but like this comes from like theory. So yeah, emotional regulation is pillar number 1. And this is, can you manage stress like without basically like being completely dysregulated in your emotions? Pillar number 2, optimism. Do you believe that things can improve when things get stressful, when things get hard? 3, cognitive flexibility. Can you shift your patterns when life throws a curveball your way? 4, self-efficacy. So do you think that you will be successful? Are you capable of overcoming setbacks? And then 5, social support. Do you ask for help or get help when you need help? Or do you tend to isolate and become insular? Like seeing that and then being able to have that social support and that network around you that you can ask for help. All of those are like the pillars of resilience. So let's talk through all of them and how you can basically get better at them. So starting off with emotional regulation. So emotional regulation, as I said, is like, are you able to manage stress and like regulate your own emotions so that we're not like constantly going into these like heightened states of emotion and then basically making actions off of emotion, not off of like logic, basically. So a few things that you can do if you find that you're getting emotionally dysregulated. The first things first is, if you're in the moment, you can try box breathing. So box breathing is basically where you breathe in for 4 breaths, hold for 4 breaths, breathe out for 4 breaths, and hold for 4 breaths. Yeah, 4, 4, 4, 4. So I would do an example. However, I am currently recovering from a cold. This is the first day I've been able to breathe through my nose. However, I'm still slightly unsuccessful on the breathing through my nose part. I'm not going to give an example here, but basically 4, 4, 4, 4. If you give that a go, do a few rounds of that, even if you just did a minute of that, you would find that you basically activate this thing called your parasympathetic nervous system. When we are emotionally dysregulated, chances are we've gone into fight or flight mode, which means adrenaline's high, everything, your body is stressed. And that means that like emotions are heightened and you are in this state of basically like hyper alertness. Box breathing tells your body, It's all right. We can chill out. We can move back into that state, the parasympathetic state, which just means the rest and digest, the rest and recharge state. So box breathing helps to activate that. Journaling as well, that's another really useful tool that you can do, especially in the moment, but you can also do it outside of that moment as well. And that will really help you to just get out of your head and onto paper. And regularly doing that is almost like you're constantly emptying that bucket, and you're making sure you're never going too full with the bucket. If you find that emotional regulation is something that you struggle with in stress management, search on, like, if you go onto the podcast feed, if you are listening to this on Spotify or Apple, and you go into the Body Beyond the Scales podcast feed, search for the podcast with Alice Gibson in it. Now, Alice has been on the podcast twice, but she did one on stress. So I did like a stress mini series where I ran through the theory, and then Alice did like the practical tips with us, as that is what she does by trade. So go listen to that one. It is such a useful episode for talking through emotional regulation and stress tools. I would highly, highly, highly recommend that if you find that like this is an area of resilience that you are struggling with. And then another thing that you can do as well is name your emotions. So if you've never heard of the feelings wheel, the feelings wheel is basically a wheel of feelings. But the idea is that it gives you more than just I am happy, I am sad, I am stressed. Like, it gives you words to come out of those so that you can pinpoint that emotion that you are feeling. You may just be feeling happy, but chances are you are feeling content, you are feeling enthusiastic, you are feeling energized, you are feeling like a more specific emotion. The feelings wheel just gives you words. It allows for you to basically choose an emotion more specifically to help basically regulate that. And that works really well, especially when you're stressed. So if you're feeling like stressed, well, actually, you're feeling annoyed, are you feeling frustrated, are you feeling disgruntled, are you feeling like, what emotion are you feeling? And that will really, again, help you get into the specifics. Another more longer term approach, if you are finding that you're struggling with emotional regulation, seeking out a therapist or someone within that genre of life, they may be useful for you to do, just to give you more tools for coping with emotional regulation. So next up, we have optimism. And optimism, I think, is so underrated when it comes to resilience, because it is really the idea that you believe in yourself and you believe that you can get through this, that things will get better. They're not going to stay shit forever, basically. And I think that we as a society can very easily get pulled into a negative mindset. The political situation, the state of the world at the moment is quite depressing. I would highly recommend like making sure that you are looking out for in your life positive things. And this is really important because the more that you look for positive things, the more that you will find positive things. So this is because of something called the reticular activating system. And the reticular activating system is a part of your brain that basically filters information in. And your brain basically can't tell you every single bit of information that it sees. So it filters it down into the stuff that it thinks are most important. You'll have seen your reticular activating system at work when you bought a new car. So when you've got a new car, you're probably like, I've not seen this car anywhere, like unless it's Fiat 500. And you'll be like, I've never seen this car before. Like, oh, it's very rare that you see one of these cars. And then you'll have that car and then you'll start seeing it everywhere. My mum did this. She bought a Jeep and she was like, I've never seen this many Jeeps before. She was like, and they're all there and they're all red like mine is a red Jeep. It's common as muck, this. That was my impression of my mother. But that like idea was basically her reticular activating system was now starting to see the red Jeeps, because before it had never filtered through them. Slight side note, the red Jeep was called Clifford the Big Red Jeep. And yeah, obviously. When it comes to like optimism, the more optimistic you can be on a day-to-day basis, the easier you will find this. And there are ways that you can do this. You can kind of like filter this into your life and create it, like I guess manufacture that sense of optimism, but also make you more predisposed to be optimistic. So first off, you can do things like gratitude journaling. So writing down things that you are grateful for. You also don't have to do this like written down. You can verbally communicate this. So this is something that Julia and I do like quite regularly. So we will talk about like things that we're grateful for, especially if one of us is in a bit of a grump. We'll often like ask the other person, so what's going well today? Like what are you grateful for today? Can you give me like 3 things that like you're excited about? Or can you give me 3 things that like you're what are you grateful for at the moment? And in the moment you will just be like, do one. But it's actually really useful to do. And both of us end up doing it and both of us end up feeling better. She's like, damn it, now I feel grateful. But if you can just like have a think basically about what is it that you what is it that you are grateful for, and just start gratituding, journaling on that. The next thing that I mentioned there is you can also like basically have verbal like conversations about this kind of stuff, but you could also have conversations around like a reflection of the day. So like what's gone really well today, like what has been like the best things that have happened to you today, and just again getting used to seeing those things and having those like regular check-ins means that you start to look for those things. So it's just a really useful skill to have. The next thing that you want to think about is reframing events. So basically, when events happen, like it can be very easy for us to sit in this like basically sit and stew in this idea and then end up basically kind of upset with ourselves because of the way that we handle things, or yeah, like we can end up having like a negative view of the event. Now this isn't the easiest thing to do, but I want you to reframe the events and look at what you've gained from them, what lessons you've learned, how you handled them well, and basically like reflect on that event and just reframing and restructuring the way that you think about these things. It's really useful for your brain because it means that you don't sit and ruminate on them. Instead, you see them as a positive, and you will see things that like well, basically, it will improve your ability to handle setbacks. And then finally, I also like to find reasons why today could be the best day of your life. So if I had to choose why today was the best day of my life, it would be that I went and I sat in a coffee shop and I read my book for an hour. What else have I done today that's made it the best day of my life? I slept in because last night I had been to a dinner party. Let's caveat this: I'm recording this on a Saturday, so hence why I've gone to a coffee shop and slept in. But yeah, I slept in because I had been to a dinner party last night and didn't end up getting back until 1 a.m. So yeah, that's a huge night for me considering my bedtime is usually 8:30. So I didn't end up getting up until like, well, I woke up to 8:30 this morning because my watch was buzzing because my mum was ringing me. So that was that was another reason why today was the best day of my life. And I also went to go buy one of my closest friends, who I have been friends with since basically the first week in high school. And it's her birthday coming up soon, and I went to go buy her birthday present. And I got to have a nice walk around the Makers Market in Media City. So yeah, it was a really good day, you know, it's just really great day. But even just like practicing that and like reframing and being more optimistic around things just allows you to have that better outlook, which means that you are more resilient because you can see that there is good things coming. Like there will be good things again. Like even if you are in the terrible, the shittest moment of your life, good things will come again. And that is a really useful skill for being resilient. So the next thing up is cognitive flexibility then. Now, cognitive flexibility, when I learned about this, I was like, oh man, this is so cool. And what it basically is your ability to deal with like shifts in patterns and changes of things. So this is like when you find out at work that you'd gone into work for the day, you should have been working from home, you got in for the day, and then someone had shifted your meeting that you were meant to be having at 9 a.m. and you'd got out of bed for, and they shifted it to 11 a.m. and you're like, oh, and I rushed in for this and I'm all sweaty. So like cognitive flexibility is your ability to be able to deal with shifts and changes, especially spontaneous shifts and changes. So thinking about how you can like do get better at that is get outside of your comfort zone as regularly as possible. So your comfort zone is just stuff that you feel comfortable doing, experiences that you feel comfortable having. Outside of your comfort zone is your stretch zone, and your stretch zone is things that you feel a little bit unsteady doing, but you feel like you could get into it, like you could do it. It's not terrifying, like it wouldn't be great, it wouldn't be your like most comfy experience ever, but you could manage it. Like worst comes to worst, like you'd get through it. Your panic zone is something that's too far outside of your comfort zone and your stretch zone. Your panic zone is things that like actually would cause quite a high degree of stress, would cause quite a high degree of discomfort. Like, so actually asking yourself, is this in my panic zone? Is this too far away right now? Or is it just in my stretch zone? It's sometimes a really useful question. And making sure you do lots and lots of things in your stretch zone is really, really, really useful because it will challenge you to basically it will challenge you to get more flexible to things and be able to deal with things and unknowns, because that's effectively what cognitive flexibility is it's that you didn't know all the things, and like something that you had that was unpredictable or that you hadn't necessarily thought about has changed, and it's your ability to deal with that. So a few low stakes things that you could do to like basically address this: try a new restaurant, read a new genre of book, read something that like you feel is above your current level of like understanding, listen to music that you don't listen to. It might be more medium stakes things, might be that you go do a new exercise at the gym. It might be that you go to the gym. It might be that you go into a crowded space. Like literally try something. You don't have to like go skydiving to get out of your comfort zone. Like all you have to do is like just find things that make you slightly uncomfortable and are outside of what your normal pattern is and your comfortable routine, and do those. If you need some ideas, check out Sophie Jones on Instagram. And I think she's on TikTok. But she does quite a lot. She basically does this thing called rejection therapy. And she will go out into public and do like really awkward things. So like one thing that she's done is like she's gone onto a bus and then she said something on the bus basically, just announced to everyone on the bus, "I hope you all have a great day," or something like that. Some of the things that she does, I'm like a bit like, I'm not sure that's necessarily adding much to society, but like yeah, like it's worth doing because she is showing that rejection is okay. And again, it's just really flexing that cognitive flexibility muscle. And again, this is something that you can do because it tells your brain that you are okay getting out of your comfort zone. And again, it just helps to improve that cognitive flexibility. So the next area then is self-efficacy. So a lot of the time we can feel like, especially if we've been an overachiever growing up, that when we do something and we're not immediately good at it, that feels terrible. And you need to have this ability to recognize that you will be able to get it at some point. And that's the thing that I always do is I have this mindset where I think, I can't do that yet. And I'm like, but if somebody else has done this, I know that I can do this. Like, it's not an impossible thing to do. It is something that is possible to do. So say, for example, it's like, oh, like I would like to run a sub 2 hour half marathon, but I've not done that. So it's not that I can't do that. It's that I just can't do that yet. So the thing that I can look at there and go, well, is it possible for me to be able to do that? Yes, because well, other people have done it. So why can't I? Have I got anything that would hold me back? Well, it might be a case of like it might be because of fitness is the thing that's holding me back. It might be my mental like capacity. And then I'd go, right, okay, but can I work on these things? These things that can like I can change, or can I work around those things if I can't change them? And with pretty much everything in those scenarios, the answer is going to be yes. So you can recognize that, like, okay, I can find the tools that I need to be able to complete this task, and therefore, like, I believe that I will be able to do it, and that is self-efficacy. Like, you believe that you will be able to do it. Um, you can also create something called like an evidence list, and I use this. This has built my confidence up so much, and it's basically just a list of times where I've been successful. So for me, like one thing that this really worked well with was when I was first starting out as a PT, and I was in like my first like couple of years. I created a list of all the people that I had helped and all the people that had been successful with working with me, because especially when you're first starting off with something like you're not necessarily the best in the world at it. Like, I am a much better coach now than what I was on day one of being a coach. So it's really important that you recognize that you will improve with things over time, but like you can also find find times that you have been successful. So again, the more that this list built up, the more confident I felt, like the better I felt as a coach. So just having that evidence that you are able to succeed because you've succeeded in the past is really, really useful as well. The other thing that I like to do in this area is consistency tracking. So I don't aim for perfection, I aim for consistency. And consistency is usually about 80%. For most people, it's 80%. I think that's a super reasonable thing like to aim for. Like, I don't think you should ever really aim, like, any consistency doesn't need to be 90%. I think 80% of the time, if you're doing what you're intending to do, that is being consistent. There will always be things that throw you off. I've been ill for the last week, but like basically I have just not been, I have in the short term not been consistent with my habits, but in the broader term, in the scope of this year, I'm not going to say I have not been consistent this year because I missed 1 week. So like that consistency is what we're looking at over time. So like if I looked at this whole year, I've been consistent as fuck. It's not been an issue that I haven't done anything for the last week because I've been ill. So again, it's just about that context and just understanding that like your ability to do something is not like determined by the immediate events that are happening around you right now. Like, you need to look at the context. And then another thing that you can do here is mentally rehearse. So just practice going through being successful at that thing. So one thing that I could do is practice being successful with like these sub 2 hour half marathons. So I can mentally rehearse crossing that line, checking my watch and it's saying 1:59. Like, I can mentally rehearse those things. And I actually do this quite a bit when I'm out running, is like, especially when I'm feeling tired or I'm like at the end of my run, I'm like, right, you're going to be feeling this feeling when you're crossing that finish line. You're at the 21-kilometer mark. You've got 100 meters left to go. This is how you're going to feel, Holly. I want you now to just give this everything you've got. You're going to practice giving it everything you've got for that last 100 meters or the last kilometer or whatever. So mentally rehearsing. And another thing that you can do here is plan the next best thing. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the next best thing mindset if you've never heard about that at the end. But if you have, then you know what I'm about. And finally, social support. So having that social network. one thing that's been really interesting is that we often believed that if you tried to change something and like change something about yourself. So say, for example, you had friends that you always go out drinking with and you've always drank with them, and that's basically like that was your entire life. If they're the only people that you spend time with, you're just going to assume that that's the norm to do. If we want to say you decide like, actually, do you know what? I need to stop drinking. Like drinking's not for me. It's not been conducive to my life. And then you end up going out with those friends again. If you have got other people in your life that now normalize the idea of not drinking, you will find it a lot easier to not drink in those scenarios, even when you're with your old friends, because you have seen that that's not the only way to do things. So having people and you don't even need to get rid of the old friends from your life. We don't need to ditch them forever unless you really didn't like them, but like we don't need to get rid of them, so you can still see them, but actually having the new people who have things in common with you and align with the version of you who you want to be. That's the key thing. If you can get more of those people in your life, that is so useful, because that creates a really useful like ability for you to shift your identity, and you do become the sum of the people that you hang around with the most. So you may have heard the saying, like, if you hang around with 5 alcoholics, you'll be the sixth. If you hang around with 5 millionaires, you'll be the sixth. If you hang around with 5 like skinny people, you'll be the sixth. I hate myself for saying the word skinny. Ugh. It's just one of those words that like I don't know why. Like it feels outdated. It feels such like a loaded word. Anyway, I have digressed. We will unpack my use of the word skinny in another podcast. But yeah, so social support is so social support really just gives you that structure, and it gives you that commonality to create, I guess, a community outside of like what you're used to. And like I said, it isn't about cutting the old people out. It's just introducing the new and giving space for new people. And this could be like and a really easy example I can give you here is like with the consistency games, we have a like WhatsApp group. So that has a community of people in who are all on the same journey. They are sharing their experiences, they are sharing what they are doing, and that is really useful for them to have like those discussions, because they can see that they're like everybody can see that there are people on the same journey as you. Like, and it is so useful. And I find that group useful because I can see that there are people who are like that gets me up and motivated to exercise when I'm well. But yeah, so that is the crux of basically it's just having the people around you that you can. So whether you find that community within your friends, whether you find it within an exercise class, whether you find it within the consistency games, whether you find it within a like coaching environment, like wherever it is that you find that community, having that community can make it a lot easier to bounce back and be more resilient. And just to kind of summarize all of this and kind of bring all those 5 pillars to a point, is that the next best thing mindset is resilience in action. It is your bounce back ability, because the next best thing is basically when you can't be perfect, what's the next best thing that you can do? And it's about going, okay, well, this is cognitive flexibility. So like when I can't be perfect, this spontaneous thing has shown up, and I now need to do the next best thing. That's cognitive flexibility. But the next best thing is also your ability to go, well, actually, I believe that even if I'm not perfect, I can still take this action, and it will make me feel more like I actually feel that I will be able to handle this in the future. That's still going to move me towards my goals. That's self-efficacy. The next best thing might be also giving you the moment to go, okay, well, actually, I'm feeling really stressed. I can't handle this right now. The next best thing is that I go off, sort my emotions out, and then I come back and do that other thing. So it might be like cooking right now is really not the best thing for me. What I need to do is just go off and do 5 minutes of box breathing, and then come back, and then I will make the next best thing meal. So like you can use that next best thing mindset in like it really does cover the resilience like as it. And there's also this idea of like speed of return, or like rate of return. You might have heard me refer to it as either. But basically speed of return is how fast you return after you have fallen, quote unquote, off track. So that is a really good measure of resilience. Like if you find that you are constantly falling off track and it takes you like a few days, a few weeks to get back on track, the goal is to reduce that speed to return. So it starts off being like you are like, I don't know, say someone brought biscuits into work, you ended up eating 5 biscuits, and then you're like, oh, screw this. And then you end up pressing the big red fuck it button, and then you go from there and basically descend into you didn't like eating everything. So that has then left us basically like off track. So the speed to return would be how long does it take for you to then get back on track. So if it takes you until Monday, then that's like, say it was a Thursday, that could be 4 days. If it takes you 3 weeks, it takes you 3 weeks. If it takes you like 24 hours, it takes you 24 hours. So like that is the speed to return. And what we want to do is reduce the speed to return on all events. You might respond to things differently. So the speed to return from a holiday might be slightly different from what your speed to return is from a like instant where you ate 5 biscuits at work. So it's just about basically reducing that time down as much as we can. And the more you can reduce that time down, the more resilient you are. Like by proxy, it's a really basically good measure of resilience. So if you ever want to kind of think about these things and think about how can I get more resilient, think about those 5 pillars. So cognitive flexibility, social support, self-efficacy, emotional regulation, and optimism. If you can think about those 5 pillars, you will find that you're probably doing okay in a couple of those areas, maybe 4 of those areas, but it's about kind of figuring out how you can get that last one and make sure that you become more resilient overall. Or you might find that like you're not resilient in any of those areas, and then you've got to focus on all of them. But that should hopefully give you something else to basically break it down to help you improve your overall resilience. And that will help you basically lose weight and keep it off because you can be consistent. Moral of the story is just aim to be more resilient, and it's a skill that you can learn. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of the day. Then I hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you have, please make sure that you basically follow the podcast and subscribe if you are watching this on YouTube. But otherwise, have a good one. And hopefully by the next time I'm recording an episode, I don't sound like I am about to either lose my voice because my throat is feeling quite sore now, or sound stuffy in the nose. So otherwise, stay lurgy free, and I'll catch you soon.